Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh wa na'udzu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. Man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lah wa man yudlilhu fala hadiya lah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la syarika lah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. أما بعد. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, all praise be to Allah. We praise Him, we ask for His help, we ask for His forgiveness, we seek refuge with Allah from the wickedness of ourselves and from the badness of our deeds. Whoever been given by Allah guidance, then nobody can be a misguider for him. Whoever been misguided by Allah, then nobody can be a guider for him. I bear witness, there is no God worthy to worship except Allah, only Him, no associate for Him. And I bear witness that Muhammad, His messenger, His servant. O Allah, give good prayers upon Muhammad and the family of Muhammad. If we gave good prayers upon Abraham and the family of Abraham. Oh Allah, bless upon Muhammad and the family of Muhammad. Bless upon Abraham and the family of Abraham. Really most worthy of praises and most exalted and glorious. Today, inshallah, we continue with our topic. Inshallah, the book of Don't Be Sad. Where we have the book is page 85, last paragraph. Today, inshallah, continue. The blessing of pain is actually the topic still continuing about smiling, to be cheerful in your life and not to be gloomy and sad. So you say here, because the last one when we took is actually smile, pause to reflect about whatever we think about the problem we have. But Allah SWT always give us better. So today we go into the topic subtopic, the blessing of pain. The blessing of pain. Pain is not always negative force and is not something that you should always hate. Like I did say about this before, one of the lecturers in UIA, he told us when he came to Yemen, visiting Yemen, he told us about 4 things that will make us still be alive. Among it is actually pain. The thing we mentioned in last week, pain, sleepy, stress, and also forgetful. 4 things that he said. Because he said first thing, pain. Because pain is actually making you avoid your body to be distracted by anything that actually will harm it. Anything, the hot plate or pan, when you touch it, you will feel hurt. So you run away from it. So your body will be protected from being damaged. Also falling from high places. You feel pain, so you don't do it. If you do it all the time and don't feel the pain, your body will distract by that all the thing that happened to you. So pain is actually something that making you still alive. Sleepy is actually something that indicating your body, your muscle already tired. So you have to have a sleep. Stress means that your nerve system already being tired. So you have to take a break and rest. If not, if you continue, then you damage your nerve system. And lastly, forgetful. If you don't forget, always remember all the thing vividly, like it happened, you will not be able to be alive today, because you will think about the pain or the loss always, and you always be sad. So you cannot continue with your life. No, you want to eat, you remember your father passed away. You laugh, you remember your mother happened to her pass away also. So all the thing that is hurtful in your life, Allah Ta'ala make it go away. That's why when you said sometimes being forgetful is blessing, is a blessing from Allah. On that terms, although we did say about most of the forgetful things actually from the shaitan, like we said in Surah Al-Kahfi, when the helper of Moses told Moses that he forgot about the fish that they ate, swam back into the sea miraculously. So he forget to told Moses about what happened. So he said, "Wama ansani illa syaitan an adhkura." It's not except Satan that making me forgetful whatever happened. So he said here, pain is not always negative force, and it's not something that you should uh, always hate. Not always hate. At times, a person benefits when he feel pain. Like I said just now, because you feel pain, your body can be continuously being protected. If you don't feel pain, so your body will not being protected and will be damaged. Will be damaged continuously, and maybe your hand already be burned out, all the skin and the flesh is not there anymore, but you still not feeling anything. That's why the pain is actually benefiting for you. You might remember that at times when you felt a lot of pain, you sincerely supplicate and remember Allah. Because of pain, sometimes a person rarely go ask Allah to ask from Allah anything. But when he in pain, in sickness, people will always utter, "Oh Allah, oh Allah." Sometimes it's a blessing for you for to that to happen, because rarely people in health and in richness will supplicate to Allah, ask from Him help or ask from Him anything, because most of that person will feel that he's actually doesn't need anything from Allah. That's why in Surah Al-Layl, Allah Ta'ala said, "Wa amma man bakhila wastaghna," and whoever is actually being stingy, doesn't want to give away any of his wealth, وَكَذَّبَ وَاسْتَغْنَى, and feeling unneeding to anybody, actually especially towards Allah. وَكَذَّبَ بِالْحُسْنَى, and also he essentially doesn't believe with the reward of the last day. فَسَنُيَسِّرْهُ لِلْعُسْرَى, will surely make easy for him for the hellfire, because the usra is actually related to the difficulties that will be for you or for us in the last day. That is the biggest one. Although in this world, the difficulty is actually something that will make us better, will make us knowing. Difficulty will make us more stronger. Actually, they said what doesn't kill you make you stronger. It's actually true. It will make you have the experience more calm in having the same problem. When he is studying, actually he said here, when somebody is studying and the student often feel the pangs of heavy burden, the tiredness of remembering, memorizing, staying up to read and to understand. Sometimes perhaps the burden of monotony, yet he eventually leaves this stage of life of life of a scholar. A scholar means that he going to study. So one time he actually will, like me and you right now, we already left out that stage of our life. Our children is actually now in that stage, in that phase. They are studying, going to the school from morning until evening, learning. The process is there, but we always will leave out that phase. Nobody will stay in that phase. Only that actually still going into study is something that will make you protected from Alzheimer. Forgetful. It happened to many of us, many of our elders, our father, our grandfather, when they stop to go to work and stop to think about anything to the matter of this world, just to stay and rest. Suddenly they start to become forgetful. And that's actually because your brain, it doesn't have any muscle, but they have a nerve cell. The nerve cell is actually equivalent what you have on your body from the mass of the muscle. As long as you use your body, the muscle is still there. You left out not using that, then the muscle will shrink away. You shrink away from your body. Even we have one of our ustaz known to us. He have an operation on his knee. because his knee was damaged in a car accident, so being replaced. So for 3 months, 3 months, the doctor said to him not to stress his knee at all. So always use the left one, not the right one. So suddenly we met him here in Al-Khadim a few years ago. His leg, he's a big guy. You know, his leg like this. His thigh is like this originally. Compared with his body, this is the natural size. When he was not using his knee at all on his right leg at all, he's not using it at all. So his thigh was shrinking until become like this. You can only see that little muscle and only bone, almost like that. So I said, hey, what happened to you? He said, the doctor told me not to stress my knee at all, my leg and right leg at all. So this is what happened. But after 3 months, when the joint already healed, then there will be exercises to make his thigh become normal back. Actually, that's the thing. So if you understand this concept, the same is actually applied to your brain. As long as you are using it, thinking, struggling to understand, inshallah, you will not be forgetful. You will only forget somebody when you don't remember him, like the name of your friend. If you are your colleague in your work, when you are working, so you always meeting the guy. So every day is being refreshed to you, his name and his face. But one day, when you retire, or he is retired, or both of you separated on your own way, and you're not meeting him, slowly the memory of that guy is vanishing from your head, and suddenly you actually you stayed with that guy like when you were in not elementary, is it? Sekolah rendah, primary, primary school. You know, you stay with your friend 6 years. 6 years you are with them, but suddenly when you went to high school and you go to diploma and university, you will not remember the 6 years friend that you have, because you are not seeing him at all. So the memory or the nerve cell that is actually containing the face of the person is actually fading away, not being used. So it is actually a good thing for you to always be in a studying environment, thinking, trying to understand, memorizing things that actually make your brain actually will be actually like your muscle, will always intact. So seldomly you will not be forgetful, inshallah. Because when we were in Yemen studying there, our teachers, our teachers there, most of them 90 years old, 80 years old, is not forgetful at all. They remember everything they are teaching, and most of them is actually teaching without the books, memorizing what they are teaching. So that likewise, if we doesn't want to have the damage in our memory, also we don't want to have Alzheimer, the best thing is actually always to be in the environment of study. So anyway, he said here, yet eventually he eventually leaves the stage of a scholar. He felt a burden with the pain at the beginning, but he shined at the end. In the end, after you already learned everything, you pass that stage, you know whatever the topic you want to know. Suddenly, at the end of the study, you actually feel ease and relax. The burden is only on the beginning. After that, you don't feel the burden anymore. The understanding is quite easy for you to refresh. Even if you left the thing for a few years and you start to read again, you will understand it directly. That means that the easiness is actually at the end, not in the beginning. The actions and pangs of passion and poverty and the scorn of others and frustration and anger and injustice, this all caused the poet to write flowing and captivating verses. You know, a poet, when they write something, when you read the poem, you feel that it's actually so beautiful. So showing the feeling of the poet. The thing happened, why? Because the poet is actually struggling along the pain, the pangs, frustration, anger of injustice. Because of that, they inspired to write. And they inspire for them to write is actually from the pain, from the burden. Because of that, they can write. If they are actually easy, doesn't feel any burden, they cannot write. Because the idea came from their heart. Then their heart is not burdened, they will not write something that essentially will influence others. This all caused the poet to write flowing and captivating verses. This is because he himself feels pain in his heart, in his nerves, and in his blood. And as a result, he able to infuse the same emotion via his work into the heart of others. Into the heart of others. Anybody else reading the poem will feel what he felt. What the poet felt will be felt by others. Because of he is actually feeling the pain himself. How many painful experience did the best writers have undergo? Experience that inspired brilliant works. No, this is actually the thing that become brilliant. Like all the authors, when they want to write something, they have to actually really feeling the problem to write. Some of the books, sometimes it's actually like we call not fictional, cerpen, short stories that being wrote by Shahnun Ahmad or anybody known as a best writer in Malaysia. They actually either they are actually going through whatever the changes inside their books. Sometimes they are telling the stories of what they did when they are small. They are small children in their village, and suddenly the village being corrupted, and all the pollution came to the place. Whatever the changes happen, so they are feeling it, or if not, they have to listen from the person that is really having that problem, like the book that being said to non-Islamic book, but the best book to show us the badness of usury or riba. The book is actually not written by a Muslim, but from a writer named Theodore Dostoevsky, Crime and Punishment. The book is entitled Crime and Punishment. The story is actually being written because Theodore Dostoevsky met the person that going through all the pain, the problem because of usury or bribe or riba. Because the person is a student, he killed the woman that imposed upon him the usury, that making him. He actually went from his village to the city to learn. So he sold all his land and houses. But when he came to the city, he in need of money. He lent from a Jewish woman, and suddenly whatever the usury of the riba imposed upon him, the interest, making him in the end start to work for her, selling all his book, and in the end not to go to school anymore. And in the end, the person killed the woman and being sent to prison. So Theodore Dostoevsky met him there. So he write back the story about this guy. So either you are feeling it by yourself, or listening from the person is actually really feeling the pain. So you can capture all the feeling and the story correctly until whoever read the book after that will feel the same thing. So the for them the hurt or the pain is actually really helping them to write, or helping others to write for them. Works that posterity continues to enjoy and benefit from today. Until today, works is actually being continuously being read in the school. Like some of the story, they said about the story of Huckleberry Finn, Tom Sawyer, being brought as literature. But when you look into it, It's actually a childhood of that person, the childhood of the author. When he was in childhood, he is still feeling of all of that. Anything that happened to him can be transferred into the books and being used to until today as a literature for students in schools. The student who live the life of comfort and repose and who not stung by hardship or what have or who has never been afflicted with calamity will be unproductive. No, because doesn't feel the burden, so he is not struggling, not working hard to learn. So unproductive, lazy, and lethargic person. Because sometimes Allah Ta'ala give some people actually the photographic memory. So that person is actually really, you give them a book, they read it just one time, he can remember the page, the line, where is the words and everything. But sometimes the easiness that this person have, making him not to work off his brilliant mind. So the brilliant mind that he have just left out lazy. Because he said that I don't have to study, just I read tonight and I will remember it tomorrow. But you know that something that's really quick to be memorized, quick to be forgotten. You will forget it for a few days after that. And that's why when we look into many of us when we learn to just to answer the examination question, after the examination you will forget. Like what's right now, if I ask many of you here about periodic table, from hydrogen, helium, and so on until 116. Many of you actually remember that when you are taking the exam. You're memorizing it. You're struggling, making song from the numbers and from the words, from the letters. And suddenly, until today, you don't really remember about that. So it's actually because of lackness, or you don't struggle to really memorize it actually, because just a little there. Comparing to that person that is actually continuously to remember, to memorize, to have that burden, or working in the field, so they always remember the thing that they learn. Indeed, the poet who knows no pain and who never tasted bitter disappointment will invariably produce heaps upon heaps of cheap words. No, the words that they use not really giving any feeling to others. They read, they write everything, and people read it, and nobody feel anything. So suddenly you can see that those people, their poem will be forgotten, not be known by others. Nobody will memorize it or saying it after that. Will be forgotten because the cheap word that will be used, because the feeling is not there. This is because his words pour forth from his tongue, not from his feeling or emotion. Because the person that will say something from feeling and emotion, usually the person that is actually have the feeling, felt the pain from anything that he gone through in his life. And though he may comprehend what was written, his body, his heart, and his body have not lived the experience. So it's actually so different. That a person who really know about what happened inside the war, when he telling the story, it's not like a person imagining the thing happening to others in the war. You can see the words being used. The story is not really captivating. More worthy than and relevant to the aforementioned examples are the life of early believers, the early believers of the Muslim, the Sahaba, that means the Sahaba, who lived during the period of revelation and who took part in most of important religious revolution that mankind has never ever seen. Actually, the Sahaba is actually the one that experiencing everything firsthand. The struggle being tortured by the non-believers, being thrown away from their families because of their beliefs. They actually experiencing it firsthand. So those people are actually the real example of Muslim in our religion. When you say Muslim, the first Muslim are them. The first believers are them. So every time Allah Ta'ala say, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, the first people that experiencing it is the Sahaba, the companion of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Indeed, they had greater faith because they are feeling everything. They have the greater faith, nobler heart, more truthful tongue, and also deeper knowledge than those who came after them. They actually it's actually known that because of that, Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala said in the Quran about following people. So in Islam, in the Quran, if you look into it, you find two command of Allah for us to follow. First, Allah Ta'ala told us to follow the Prophet, peace be upon him. When Allah Ta'ala said in Surah Al-Imran, verse number 31, Allah Ta'ala said, Qul in kuntum tuhibbun Allah, say, O Muhammad, if you really love Allah, if you really love Allah, fattabi'uni, follow me, follow Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you follow Muhammad, yuhibbukumullah, Allah Ta'ala will surely love you back. Wa yaghfir lakum dhunubakum, Allah Ta'ala will surely forgive for all of you, your sin. Wallahu ghafur rahim, and Allah surely very most forgiving and most loving, caring towards his creation. So means that if you follow the Prophet, you get love of Allah and you get the forgiveness of Allah. And the other one is actually being said in the Surah Tawbah, verse number 100. Surah Tawbah verse number 100. Allah Ta'ala said, "Wasabiqun al-awwalun," and those who are early from among that is actually embracing Islam early, as-sabiqun al-awwalun, quickly and early in embracing Islam. Minal muhajirin, from among the muhajirin, those who migrate from Mecca to Medina. Wal ansar, and also the ansar, the dwellers of Medina who accepted the migration of the companion from Mecca to them. Wasabiqun al-awwalun minal muhajirin ansar, and also walladhina taba'uhum bi ihsan, and whoever follow them in good manner, radiyallahu anhum, Allah Ta'ala already pleased towards them. Waradu anhu, then we will be pleased with Allah. Whatever Allah Ta'ala give them, they will be pleased with Allah. Wa'adda lahum jannatin tajri tahta al-anhar, Allah Ta'ala have prepared for them, for the early muhajirin, the early ansar, and those who follow them in good manners. Allah Ta'ala promised them, prepared for them, jannatin tajri tahta al-anhar, gardens that flowing under it, the rivers. Khalina fiha abada, they will be inside that garden everlasting. Dhalikal fawzul azim, that is the greatest achievement, the greatest victory for a person, achievement for a person, that to have entered the paradise. So following the companion of the Prophet in that ayah will get you the please of Allah, or will be pleased with you, and also the paradise that Allah Ta'ala have already actually promised. So both actually from the following of the Prophet, following of the companion, is related to all the concerning of the religion. Because if you want to understand whatever being said by the Prophet, you have to look at the Sahaba, how they practice the words of the Prophet, and how they understand the Quran. How do they understand the Quran? So actually, I can give you an example. When you learn about inheritance in Islam, when you want to, after the properties of a deceased person being used, part of it for his burial, like to for his shrouding, washing, and also to carry him to the grave, to dig the grave. All of it being used for that. After that, you have to pay whatever debt he have with Allah, and debt from his properties towards any humankind that he have that too. And after that, the will, he becomes a will, then you have to give 1/3 to it. The last will be for the faraid, for whoever the inheritors from his family. So if you look into that, when you say about the debt and the will, the bequest, the sequence will be you have to settle the debt first, and after that you will settle the will that he bequests. He make a will, you have to follow the will. One third of the properties will go to the will. So basically, you can see that the will is after the debt. The debt is before the will. But if you look into the Quran in Surah An-Nisa, verse number 11 and 12, when Allah Ta'ala said about properties that you left, or your wife left, or a son, a daughter left for their parent, we always been said that this portion, this verse of properties is min ba'di wasiyatin yusi biha aw dain, after the will that he bequests or debt. So if you read the Quran, you will see that the will is before the debt. Min ba'di wasiyatin yusi biha aw dain. Dain is debt. Wasiyah is will. So this portion you give away to the mother, to the father, to the child, to the husband, the wife, after any will been bequest or debt. But the problem is when you practice in real life, you will always put the debt before the will. The debt towards Allah or towards humankind will always be before the will that the person made. If the debt finish everything, then nothing will be for the inheritors or the will. But in the Quran is like that. So this is one of the the understanding of the Quran. You recite it like that, but the way to do it is like this. It's being said by Ali bin Abi Talib. He said, you all recite it like that, but the Prophet SAW always made the will after the debt, not the debt after the will. Not the debt after the will, no. Even though in the Quran you recite that. But when you are doing it, you must do it like that. So this is the way when you understand that the companion of the Prophet, peace be upon him, that they, all of them, may Allah Ta'ala pleased with them, they actually the one that really practicing the Islam from the start. So they know what is the meaning or the implementation of the ayah revealed to them, revealed to the Prophet SAW. So you cannot just say that I want to understand the Quran, but without the understanding of the companion. Because like we said here, they are the first that experience the revelation. They actually living out the revelation, and they're practicing the Islam in front of the guiding eye of the Prophet, peace be upon him. So always, if they made a mistake, the Prophet will correct them straight away, without any delay. So they actually have the most great understanding about Islam. That's why Allah said in the Surah Taubah, we have to follow them. So why they are like that? Because they are experiencing everything that the hardship of becoming a Muslim, a believers, they actually experience it firsthand. We right now, as a Muslim, children of Muslim, children of the forefathers of Muslim, all of us Muslim a few generations before, so we didn't really experience that. Even it's not really that we say that we are not worthy of a name of believers, but it's not the same as the early believers of Islam. They have the greater faith, nobler heart, more truthful tongue, and deeper knowledge than those who came after them. They had all this because they lived through pain and suffering. Actually, they, like the beginning of Islam, when they embracing Islam, 2 years, the people who believe with the Prophet become believers with the Prophet, peace be upon him, and their families being sent away by the being boycott by the people of Mecca. They will not be sold to them anything. They cannot buy anything. They cannot sell anything. Nobody will marry with their family. Nobody can marry from their family. They cannot marry to others, and nobody will marry them. The people of Mecca, made that agreement for a few years. But after 2 years, the agreement that they signed being eat by the ant. The ant eat termites, eat they put it inside the Kaabah, and the agreement being eaten by the termites. Then they stop. At that time, the companion of Prophet for 2 years, they don't have any food. They will even have to eat the tent of the Arabian people is made skin, from the skin of animals. They cut the skin and they boil it to eat from the tent. Our tent right now is actually from canvas. You cannot eat it. If your tent, if you have a leather jacket, you can try. Take a little oil and boil it. You can see that the skin can be eaten after that. In our neighbor from Indonesia, they always have that keropok kulit. Chips from the skin of the cow or the buffalo. They dry it, they boil it, and after that they fry it. Actually, the thing is actually can be eaten. So can you imagine the companion of Prophet eating leaves and tree bark, and also eating from the skin of the tent. The tent from the skin, they carry it and they boil it and they eat it at that time. To that extent. Not thinking about some of them been tortured, like Bilal bin Rabah been tortured by Umayyah bin Khalaf in the heat of the sun. They put it on the stone, on the hot surface of the land, of the stone, and they put a stone on top of him, and he just proclaiming Ahad, Ahad. The thing is not happening to us. We are not being forced to go out from our religion. So they at that time are really people who have the true belief, because they're experiencing it, and because of it, if you want to, if we go into really understand this topic, that the hypocrites, the people actually inside their heart disbelief towards Allah, but they are showing that they are believing Allah on the outside. Those people actually only exist after the war of Badr. Means that 2 years after the migration of the Prophet, peace be upon him, to Medina, starting from the victory in the war of Badr, from then the hypocrites exist, start to appear inside the community. People that embracing Islam because they want to be odd from others, just like that. Because their family already go into Islam, they embrace Islam because of that. In the early believers, they are not like that, because they are seeing torture and torment from the kuffar upon them, the mushrikin upon them. So whoever want to proclaim Shahada, La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, they will really know that they will be oppressed by the mushrikin of Mecca. Really oppressed. They understand that. Not like the people that embrace Islam after the victory of Badr, because at that time the victory of Islam really shining. So people actually embrace Islam not really because of belief, really belief. Some of it just because go with the flow, because you don't go against your family, against your community. So embracing Islam because of that. So that's why in the ayah 100 At-Tawbah that I mentioned just now, the ayah really saying that was-sabiqun al-awwalun minal muhajirin ansar. The early, the quickly, the early that embracing Islam from among muhajirin and ansar, means that the early muhajirin and the early ansar and whoever follow them. This is actually how do you differentiate when we say that all people that met the Prophet and become a believer is called Sahaba. So how can you differentiate the Sahaba that you will follow them, and from the Sahaba that is actually like the Bedouin that go into the mosque and pee at one of the angle, the angle of the mosque, the mosque, and the Prophet and the companion become something happened to them because he is still peeing inside the mosque. That is also Sahaba, but that is not your model role that you follow. But the one that you have to follow, the early Muhajirin and the early Ansar. Why? Because they actually experiencing everything that what we said just now, the hurt and the calamity and the difficulties in embracing Islam is with them. They are the one that are really feeling it. So because they live through the pain and suffering, both of which are necessary commitments to great revolutions. You want to concomitance to great revolution. Means that great revolution must come from great suffering. Then only the great revolution will come. They felt the pain of hunger, of poverty, of rejection, of abuse, of banishment from their home and country, of abandonment of all pleasures, and of all pains of wounds, and of death and torture. Even the family of Yasir, Ammar bin Yasir, his father, his mother, or his relative being killed. Even the Prophet ﷺ at that time only prayed to Allah by saying, Sabran ya ala Yasir, inna mau'idakumul jannah. O family of Yasir, be patient. Your rewards will be the paradise. You'll be promised paradise by Allah. That's the only thing that being said by the Prophet, peace be upon him, when the family of Yasir being killed. Nothing being done, because at that time that is the extent of strength that the Muslim have. That is different when the Prophet ﷺ and his companion migrate to Medina. They have all the support. They have all the mean. Even though it's actually not really that complete, but they can fight for themselves. Then from there, the start of jihad or war with the non-believers. If not in Mecca, none of the companion of Prophet took off their sword to fight. Always they stay to be patient, okay, until being killed. They were in truth chosen ones. They are in truth the chosen one, because they actually the companion Prophet. If you really look into it, they are the one that making us to get the Islam that the Prophet taught us. They are the one that revealed to us the Quran that we are reciting today, being actually preserved by them. If not by them, they are not truthful, unfaithful to the Prophet. Everybody is thinking about themselves. Then Quran and the teaching of Islam may already all went away, because Allah chose them. They are being chosen by Allah to be the companion of Prophet, to be the one that to continue the da'wah of the Prophet. So anything when you listen to somebody starting to belittle the companion of the Prophet, understand that the person is actually want to broke off from Islam. They want to destroy Islam, because without the companion, you will not know the Islam, nor the prayer, nor the fasting, nor the zakah, nor the hajj, nor the Quran. The Quran also you cannot get it, because recitation of the Quran being revealed from the Prophet to the companion, and the companion to the tabi'in, and so on until our time today. Even in they actually the one to preserve, or even the time of the third caliphs, Uthman bin Affan radhiyallahu anhu, at the end of his reign, around 30 to 35 of Hijrah, he actually the one that commanded few of the companion of the Prophet, being known as the teacher of the Quran and the memorizer of the Quran and the writer of the Quran, to write off the Quran in one consensus writings that we call today as the Sam Osmani. You call the Quran the Sam Osmani as because the heart or the calligraphy that being wrote at this time is the one that being still used today. That is called Rasam Osmani. Means that the drawing or the calligraphy from the time of Osman bin Affan radhiyallahu anhu. So they preserve the Quran for us. So if not because of them, we will not know Islam today. Not knowing our prayer. The Prophet prayed. How did he pray? Because in the Quran you cannot find the way of the prayer being done in the Quran. Starting from takbir or starting with salam. Because if you greeting somebody, you should say Assalamualaikum first. Not say Allahu Akbar first. But in Salah, you starting with Allahu Akbar and you ending with Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. If you think by logic, you say Assalamualaikum towards Allah. That's the thing. So the proper way to pray, you have to look into the whatever the companion memorized for us from the prayer of the Prophet, peace be upon him. If not because of them, you will not know the prayer. Likewise, the companion did say, if not because of Allah, they will not know the prayer. They don't know anything. They don't know how to worship Allah. We know right now because the things that revealed to the Prophet ﷺ and be taught by the Prophet is being transmitted to us from them. If they are corrupted, then nothing from Islam is true. If they are corrupted, nothing from Islam is true. So that's why when you listen, you heard somebody belittling the companion, saying that the companion did not really know, I don't want to follow the companion of the Prophet, then they have the problem. Because like we said just now, Allah Ta'ala himself told us to follow the companion, the early Muhajirin, the early Ansar with good manners. Whoever follow them with good manners, radiyallahu anhum wa radu an. They Allah Ta'ala already pleased with them and they will be pleased with Allah. That is the promise that Allah Ta'ala give. When you follow the companion, you get the place of Allah and the paradise. So that's the thing. Okay. The elite of mankind, they are the true chosen ones, and the elite of mankind, the companion. They are the model of purity, nobleness, and sacrifice. That in the Quran, in Surah Taubah, verse number 120, Allah Ta'ala said, in Surah Taubah, verse number 121. The one that we mentioned just is 100. He said in 120. Okay. He said from the beginning of the ayah, Makan li ahli al-Madinati wa man hawlahu. Is not for the people of Medina and also those who around the Medina. It's not for them, min al-Arab, from among the Arabs, an yatakhallafu an Rasulillah, that they can went back from following the companion of the Prophet, the messenger of Allah. Means that when the messenger of Allah want to go somewhere, want to do something, they should not be the one that fall back, not going with him. They should not be. They said there, wala yurghabuna bi anfusihim an nafsih, and they should not be preferring their own self more than the Prophet. I mean, the Prophet is more for them to make to make the Prophet first before their own self. They have to make that. Dhalika bi annahum. That's because this is the ayah that we are reciting right now. Dhalika bi annahum la yusibuhum dhama'un wala nasabun wala mahmasatun fi sabilillah. That is because they don't suffer. Because they suffer neither thirst nor fatigue nor hunger in the cause of Allah. In the cause of Allah. Wala yata'una mawti'an yaghidul kufar. Nor they take any step to raise the anger of the disbelievers. Wala yanalu min aduin nailan. Nor they inflict any injury upon an enemy. Illa kutiba lahum bihi amalun salih. But it is to be written for them a credit as deeds of righteousness in the sight of Allah. Means Allah Ta'ala consider everything they felt, every thirst, every hunger, every difficulties in staying inside the war in the cause of Allah. They actually being inflicted. They step to the war, that making the disbeliever to be angry, and they're being afflicted with wounds, or they inflicted the wounds to the disbelievers, all of them will be written for them as their credits in the of a deed of as a deed of righteousness. Inna Allah la yudhi'u ajra al-muhsinin. Surely Allah will not waste the reward of those who do good deeds. So they actually, everything that they befell on them is actually considered as reward by Allah. Everything they being upon them is considered as reward from Allah. In the history of the world, there are those who that have produced the greatest works due to pain and the suffering that they experience. Al-Mutanabbi, when he afflicted with severe fever. Actually, Mutanabbi, this is actually one of the great poet of the Arabs. His writing, his poem, still being considered as one of the greatest poem throughout the history. Mutanabbi. So he said here, when he was afflicted with severe fever, wrote some of his best poetry. You know, his poetry become the best when he actually being afflicted with sickness. And Nu'man bin Munzir an-Nabirah, Nu'man bin Munzir an-Mughirah, with death, and what is later produced some of his best poetry, because when feeling sickness to death, so he started to write poet about what he's feeling at that time, and become one of the best great poet of in the Arab world. The well-known line he spoke, roughly translated, is, "Verily, you are the sun, and there are kings of the stars. For when the sun rises, no star in the sky is visible." He said that you are the sun. Actually, you are the sun. The sun and the other kings of the stars. The other kings of the stars. Because sun is actually one of the stars. You know, sun is really one of the stars in our universe. So, for when the sun rises, no star in the sky visible. You know, right now, if you can get out from the layer of daylight of the earth, because the daylight is actually just one layer of our atmosphere. Because if you went out today, the sun is actually shining above you. You are in the daylight. You went out, you will see that the sun is all pitch black around it, because the atmosphere, or the layer of the air that is circling the earth, that is making you feel the daylight. The daylight is actually like that. If you, that's why Allah said in the Quran, in Surah Yasin, about the night and the day. Allah said, "Wallaylu naslahu minhu nahar," and the night we take the skin of the day of it. The skin of the day is upon the night. All the earth is actually in the night state originally, but because we have the air, the atmosphere, so the sun is actually shining on the atmosphere, so making you feel the daylight. But daylight is actually just a small layer, a thin layer of the earth. They're actually making you to see everything is like in this room right now. If we paint black our wall, you will not feeling the daylight experience like this. If you went to some of the coffee shop, the hipster coffee shop these days, you know, they put the wall in the dark. They paint the wall dark, and they put the lamp inside. So you are seeing the light, but behind it all black. So it's not reflecting the light. So you see yourself is in a dark room with light. If they change the wall or the ceiling white, will have this situation right now. You are having the light because of that. So that because of that, so the Mutanabbi was saying that the death. I don't know, Al-Munzir, not Al-Munzir, uh, when he's talking about the death. So the death is actually the biggest one. You have the suffering of being hurt by fire, by anything. It's like stars in the skies. But when the sun came, everything else will go away. So the death for him is like the sun in the sky. When the death come, no more. You don't even think about, oh, you lost something, your father died. No, because the death is upon you. All other uh, difficulties, all other sickness or pain is actually like a star in the presence of the sun. You will not see anything. So can you see that actually the thing that Al-Munzir, Al-Nu'man bin Munzir, giving about the death that he experiencing at that time is really, really vivid. Like you said, you have you worry about things. You worry about your taxes, your debt, about your children. But when death come to you, you will not remember anything except the thing that in front of you at that time. It's like the sun. The death is like the sun, comparing to the all the pain that is actually like the stars in the sky. So when the sun rises, so no more. He said, no star in the sky is visible. Nothing is in front of you anymore. Only the sun will be there. So in fact, there are many examples of those that prospered and achieved as a result of the suffering they experience. Some of them, because of the suffering, they get the success. Therefore, do not become excessively anxious when you think of pain, and do not fear suffering. You don't suffer yourself. Don't take a knife and start to do something to yourself. No, not like that. Means anything, any difficulties, any worries that you have, you don't really go into that. You should always be positive that after this, may Allah Ta'ala open for me a better one. That's the thing that like Salama, when her husband died, her husband Abu Salama taught her the supplication that the Prophet taught the companion when they being tested by Allah with difficulties or calamity. They should say, Inna lillah wa inna ilaihi raji'un. We belong to Allah, and to Allah we will be returned. Allahumma ajurni fi musibati. Oh Allah, give reward from me in my difficulties, in my calamity. Wa akhlif li khairan minha. Substitute me with better than it. Give me a better substitute from whatever you taken away from me. So she actually, like we said, the calamity, you actually don't say that you don't have problem. You have your problem, but you ask from Allah to give you a better substitute from whatever befell on you. You don't say that you don't feel the pain. Yes, you feel the pain, but you ask from Allah to give you a better substitute with what pain you feeling. It might well be that through pain and suffering you will become stronger, and furthermore, for you to live with a burning and a passionate heart that has been stung is purer and nobler than to believe a apathic life, apathic existence of a person who has cold heart and short-sighted outlook. But that sometimes when you feel the pain, you thinking about others more because you already felt it, so you can really relate yourself with that person. So if a person in loss, you know the pain of loss, the poverty. If you feel that poverty, you know that you have the time that you don't have anything to spend on, you have to spend from. So when you see somebody that have difficulties, you really can relate yourself, because that is the way Allah Ta'ala testing you and making you to think about others. Like when you doing your fasting in Ramadan, people in Ramadan will become more and more generous, If you look at the box, the donation box of the Jumaat donation box, you really see from the month before Ramadan, during Ramadan, and after Ramadan. During Ramadan, the box is actually, we can have 3 or 4 times that they gather in other month. Why? Because in that time, when people is actually fasting, they start to feel a little hunger. And they start to feel about thinking about others. When they actually really full and actually not really feeling hungry, they will not feel a thing about others. They feel about their own self, their own rest, their own feeling. But when they're feeling something, they can relate themselves to the others. So and another thing, when you're being tested by something like that, the second time you come to that problem, you actually already come. Not really think about it. I did talk about the story before when I was in Yemen. I have a hard disk. Inside the hard disk, all my work for 2 years of translation and gathering of data. And suddenly, I gave my hard disk to my friend because he want to transfer data from his friend's CPU to his CPU. So the easiest way is to use my hard disk. Qadarallahu masya fa'ala. When he put my hard disk to my friend CPU, short circuit, my hard disk fried, burn, cannot be used anymore. So at the beginning, really, I really think about it and cannot sleep. And even in my sleep, I'm thinking about the hard disk already being fixed. And I woke up from my dream, the thing is still that in damage. So what happened? After that, yes, I feel something about that. But Allah Ta'ala making me to leave out that 2 years of work to make a new one. Make a new one. So I start to retranslate once again and everything. And Alhamdulillah, right now, Alhamdulillah, Allah Ta'ala making me to feel if I lost something right now, I not really feel the burden. You know, you'll be tested once, you should know the feeling already. Just smile. Qadarallahu ma syaa fa'ala. Because you really know that Allah Ta'ala is actually the one that making you having that experience. So if making you for the second time, you should always think about Him. Don't really think about that thing. Maybe Allah Ta'ala wants to give you a better one. So that's why the feeling of loss sometimes making you feel become stronger, become more at ease, become more at ease, and really ready for anything. But Allah, He said in the Quran, in Surah Al-Tawbah, verse 46. Verse 46 of Surah Al-Tawbah, Allah Ta'ala said, it is because this ayah is actually really about the hypocrites. When they want to go to the Prophet, with the Prophet ﷺ to the war, but they actually giving excuses. They don't want to go, but they start to give excuses. Then Allah Ta'ala said, "Walau aradul khuruja la'addu lahu uddatan." If they really want to go out with you, O Muhammad, they will really prepare for it, the preparation. Walakin karihallahu, but Allah, this is the continuation. Walakin Allah karihallahum bi'athahum. Allah Ta'ala was averse to their being sent forth. Allah Ta'ala don't want them to be inside the line of the Muslim inside the war. Allah Ta'ala don't want them to be inside the soldiers. They go to the wars, to the war of Islam. Walakin karahullahu bi'athahum fathabbatahum. Then He made them lag behind. And said to them, Wakila qu'udu ma'al qa'idin, and sit you among those who sit. The sick people, the old people, the women, the children, they cannot go to war, sit with them. Don't go. Allah Ta'ala doesn't like you to go at all. So Allah Ta'ala making them not to go. The word of a passionate sermon can reach in the most depth of the heart of and penetrate the deepest region of the soul. Usually because of the one who gives the sermon has himself experienced pain and suffering, because he really feeling that. So inshallah, the thing that he said to others actually really from his heart, not just because he created or he. Some people really like to create stories, create stories to make people think about it or feeling. But this is actually in Islam is forbid, because the Prophet Sallam don't ask to don't like us to say something except it is truth. If you creating it by own self, you don't know the truth of it, you should know. You should not really telling it to others. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, Kafa bil mar'i kadiban ayuhaditha bi kulli ma sami'a. It's enough for the person to become a liar that he told anybody, everybody, whatever he heard. You heard anything, you just tell it to others without really knowing it is true or not. It's not been given to Allah permission like that. Allah Ta'ala said, this is in the surah of Suratul Fathu. Verse number 18. Yeah, Fathu 18. This is the story when he said he knew what was in their heart. This is actually the story when the companion of Prophet ﷺ, in the 6 years of Hijrah, they went with the Prophet to Makkah to do the Umrah. But the Mushrikeen, the non-believers of Mecca, stopped them and tell them if they go further into Mecca, they will start war. Even though they are actually wearing ihram, they don't want to go to war, just to do the tawaf and sa'i at the Kaabah. So the Mushrikeen doesn't allow them. So the Prophet and his companion stayed at the Hudaybiyah, just a little further outside of the Haram. This day, if you go to Mecca, they will bring you to the place. But surely the tree that the Prophet ﷺ make them to give an oath to him is not there anymore. Even the companion of Prophet doesn't remember which tree is it. But people will say to you that this is the tree, this is the tree. So people start to pray at that tree. Anyway, at that time when the Prophet and the companion was staying there, he was with 1,400 people with him at that time. So he sent Uthman bin Affan to Mecca to negotiate with the Mushrikeen. The Mushrikeen said to Uthman, if you want to do your Umrah, do, but we will not allow Muhammad. So Uthman said, I will not do it except with Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But the rumors came from Mecca that Uthman has been killed. So the Prophet make the companion 140,000 of them, 1,400 of them, to give an oath that they will go inside Mecca. If really Osman being killed, they will go and fight the war, even though they are actually not prepared to go to war. So he made then an oath upon them, one after another. 1,400 people start to shake his hand and give an oath that they will go to war if Uthman been killed. So when they're giving the oath to the Prophet ﷺ, their promise to the Prophet ﷺ, that is the ayah. Then Allah said, "Laqad radiyallahu anil mu'minina." Verily Allah Ta'ala have been pleased. Allah Ta'ala already pleased with the believers. If you bayu'unaka tahta shajarah, when they are giving their oath to you under the tree. Under the tree. Fa'anzalallahu sakinatahu alayh. Fa'alima ma fi qulubihim. Then Allah Ta'ala already know whatever inside their heart. And Allah Ta'ala send down sakinata, calmness and tranquility upon them. Wa asabahum fatahan qariba. And Allah Ta'ala rewarded them with a near victory. That's actually on the 6th of Hijrah, the 9th of Hijrah, 3 years after that, the conquer of Makkah. Not really far from that. So only that on that day, Allah Ta'ala only know whatever inside their heart. Is that was being said there. So Allah Ta'ala give them sakina, because whatever inside their heart, they really believe in the Prophet, because they are the people that actually following the Prophet from the start. The author said, I have read many books of poetry, and high percentage of them are passionless, without life or soul. Many of the poet is not really have anything. This is because their author never endured hardship, and because they were composed among surrounding of comfort. Hence, the works of such authors were cold and like blocks of ice. They don't have any warmness and they don't have any passion. I have read book filled with sermons that do not shake the hair of the body of the listener, and that lack of atoms weight of impact. The orator, those whose sermon were put to print, is not speaking with feeling and sentiment, or in other words, pain or suffering, because they don't have feel the suffering. The sermon become dry, nothing. These days we are feeling like that because the people, the one that read the preacher is only just reading the sermon. Alhamdulillah. It's just like that. And they are reading, not talking to the people in front of them. Allah Ta'ala said in Surah Al Imran, verse number 163. They said with their mouth that which is not in their heart. They said with their mouth what is that not inside their heart. If you wish to affect and influence others, whether it is with your speech or your poetry or even your action, you must first feel the passion inside you. You must be moved yourself by the meanings of what you are trying to convey. Then only you will come to realize that you have an influence upon others. Allah Ta'ala said in Surah Al-Ma'idah, no, not Al-Ma'idah, verse 22. 22 is Surah Al-Hajj. Surah Al-Hajj, verse number 5. Verse number 5. Verse number 5. Allah Ta'ala said in the ayah, in the end of the ayah, he said, وَتَرَى الْأَرْضَ هَامِدَةً فَإِذَا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْهَا الْمَاءَ اهْتَزَّتْ وَرَبَتْ وَأَنْبَتَتْ مِنْ كُلِّ زَوْجٍ بَهِيجٍ. Actually, you see the land is barren, doesn't have any life. But when we send down the rain on it, it stirred. Ihtazat. The sand, the soil actually will start to vibrate. This actually anything that go inside a water volume will vibrate. You can know this just a little when you put your nail or you wet it with water. You can see that your nail become soft. The softness of your nail is actually because anything go inside the water will vibrate. So vibration happen, the molecule become loosen. That's why when you see your nail become soft after you wet it with water. So anything inside water, even anything, will become vibrate. That way we say by Allah in the ayah. Ma ihtazat warabat wa ihtazat, it will actually vibrate. Warabat, it will become bigger in volume. We can swell because actually when the water, actually you can see after water being actually water fill up any part of soil, you can see that the soil have on the wall some extent of heightness. Means that when the water is there, the land becomes swell. So you can see the soil is it has a new line or height. We during the water was there, but after the water went away, the soil came down back. So you can see the thing on the top of the wall. It means that the soil is swelling. That's the way Allah Ta'ala want to help anything that want to grow, can have the place for the root or the bud to grow, because the soil become expanded. Warabat wa ambatat, and actually and put forth every loving kind of growth. That's actually because is want to say about the water. If the water fell to the land is barren, but the effect of the water can be seen by the eye. Will happen something to the barren soil, the barren land will bring forth trees and plant just because of the water. So it's the same. If your speech or your action have something inside it, if when you give it away, then it should have some effect on others. Like ever, Allah Ta'ala put the effect of the water on the land of the soil, or the soil, barren soil, with whatever come after that. Alhamdulillah, we stop there, inshallah. Any question? No? Okay, Alhamdulillah. So inshallah we stop here. Inshallah we hope that our Sheikh will continue our class for next week, because he will be coming back, inshallah. No, next week. Week after, yes. Next week, we actually, Al-Khadim will, most of all our staff will be in place, because we are having the youth camp. So starting from next week, all the classes will be postponed until after 25th. After 25th of December, inshallah will be classes there. But during next week, no classes will be open, inshallah, because all our staff will be in place to conduct the youth camp, around how many? 240, is it? 256? 250 to 56 participant is actually attending in place. Inshallah will be there. Okay. Allahu a'lam. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa sallam, alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Subhanakallahumma bihamdika asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.